What up, watch peeps? I ain't gonna lie. When this watch came out, I was all like, bah, that's just the C65 with a sapphire bezel. What's the big deal? Modder's been doing that for years. Well, once again proving that I know nothing. I was off on this one. This watch is so much more than that. What more is it, you ask? Well, let's take a look. I'm Pete, and we are Chillin' with Watches. Wrist check. You know, all the Ranger talk lately, it's actually had me wearing my Ranger for the last few days, but I figured I would step it down a few millimeters and check out the Smiths for today. And yeah, this watch is pretty dang great. But we're here to talk about this Christopher Ward today. They have cool packaging. I know I've said that before. It's a lot of sleeve after sleeve, but pretty neat with these bamboo boxes, and they really work kind of nice. You got this kind of cover that has all your paperwork in there. We're not going to bother with that because we want to look at this beautiful watch. And it is really a gorgeous watch. There's really no denying that. Colors, these come in quite a few colors. There's blue, white, black, green, but then there's bronze cases, there's GMTs, just way too many options for me to list them all. So if you want to see them, check out the link in the description. You can go see them all. Now sizes, this is a minor point of contention for me because these only come in 41, as has been the case with C65 divers. I would love to see this in a 39. It might be the most perfect watch for me out there if they did that. Price-wise, now I know Christopher Ward has recently upped their prices across the board. This non-GMT stainless Aquitane on the bracelet goes for $12.50. Let's take a closer look at this dial and talk about the elephant in the room, logo and text. You know, finally, I think they nailed it. I hope this dial layout sticks. You have the logo here at 12 o'clock and some descriptive text down at 6 o'clock. Simple, plain, basic, and it looks great. These Sunray finished dials are new with the Aquitane. You have the date at 6 o'clock in a trapezoid date window. It's arguably the best way to do the date. Now, the markers on these, instead of the more modern sticks you see on the C60 divers, these have your more traditional triangles and dots layout. Really well done with kind of trapezoids at 3 and 9, big triangle at 12. I think they did a great job on these dials. Minute track, that's a basic bro minute track around the outside, but it is strategically placed directly under the curved portion of the sapphire. So you can see down here it kind of disappears while sometimes it's in very stark relief, really just taking full advantage of the distortion offered by that box sapphire, and it creates a really nice effect. The hands are basically the same hands you would find on the C60 divers, but I do think this minute hand has a slight taper to it, which I don't remember from the C60 divers, but really nice hand set. I don't think anyone's ever complained about these. They're really well done. Crystal, as we just saw, is a really nice box sapphire. It doesn't sit up too high, gives a little distortion around the edge. Really nice sapphire. They've done a great job with that. The bezel, now this is something new. These are lumed bezels, and you can see it's got a domed sapphire insert, which is really cool. The action on these is what I would call notchy, less ticky and more bassy of a sound, but very precise. There's no slop, no backplay whatsoever. But I do think this bezel insert is slightly misaligned as I'm on either side of that marker when I try to center it at 12 o'clock. All right, let's talk about this case, because this is the best case you can get in this price range, if not just the best case you can get. The alternating brushed and polished surfaces combined with all sorts of angles not only looks great, but it really creates the illusion of an extremely thin mid case. You can see there's almost no flat slabs to this case whatsoever. The crown is 6.8 millimeters as I measured it. You can see they've done their logo in relief there, kind of bee-blasted matte finish on the inner portion. I think it's a great crown, perfect size, really well done, no crown guards. Caseback is a display caseback showing off that decorated rotor on this Sellita SW200. I don't know if that display caseback adds thickness to this case. It usually does, but either way, I don't think thickness is an issue for this watch. Now the end links, as you can see, they are solid. They're quick release. They are male end links. You know, I'd prefer female, but this is the way Christopher Ward does all their watches, with male end links. Now this strap may be my favorite thing about this watch. Now remember I said whoever can make an on-the-fly adjust clasp in 16 millimeters would win the bracelet game. Well, Ward themselves did it, and it's as long as a boat now, which I admit I did not see that coming, but it's tolerable, and I think the benefits far outweigh the negatives of the length. Now the taper is why I love this watch. It has 22 millimeter lug, which was okay on a 41 millimeter watch, but it has a full 6 millimeter taper from 22 down to 16. Just, I love it. It's great. It wears awesome. You can see the links are screw links, easy peasy, no problem making changes. And again, this is that on the fly adjust clasp. You have this kind of lever here that lets it in and out, and you can, I think you need to hold it in to go both ways. But yeah, having those on the fly adjust in the summer especially, I've found I absolutely love this. And if I was to make my perfect watch, it would absolutely have to have an on the fly adjust clasp in 16 millimeters. But I love the outside of the clasp, just their logo, 2 push buttons, very simple and clean despite being rather long. I'm not sure why it had to be longer than the 18 millimeter version of the same clasp. Anyway, there's that Sellita SW200. Let's throw this thing on the Timegrapher and see how it's running. The accuracy seems to be swinging around from like -3 to -8 or 9 seconds per day, but it does have an extremely high amplitude of 317, really clean runner, power making it all the way through to those hands. Moderate to low beat error, nothing to be concerned about. All in all, I think it's a pretty good runner. We always like to see them running fast rather than slow, but this is perfectly acceptable in my book. Going over the dimensions, we are looking at a 41 millimeter case that comes in 46.5 from lug to lug, 51.3 if you add in the additional length of those male end links. Comes in at 12.7 millimeters thick as I measured it. That is including the boxed sapphire crystal, and it has a 22 millimeter lug width. Going over some of the other specs, we're looking at a boxed sapphire crystal. Uses X1 C1 Lume, which is a great Lume, second only to C3, my favorite. They're running the Sellita SW200 movement, and it has 200 meters of water resistant. Now on this bracelet, the supplied bracelet, size for my 7¼ inch wrist, it comes in at 150 grams. And here is how it wears on my 7¼ inch wrist. You know, this is about as big as I want to go these days, 41 millimeters, but I do think it wears perfectly well. I wouldn't call it thin at 12.7, but it's not thick either, and thanks to that light catcher case, I think it makes it appear as thinner than its actual numbers. You can see it sits really close to the wrist, really hugs the shape of the wrist, and you can see if you can get that long clasp centered on the bottom of your wrist, it's not too bad at all. Here it is alongside the Black Bay 58 at 39 millimeters. And man, if they would have made this in this size, like I said, it might be the perfect watch for me. The Black Bay is a really great wearing watch, and 39 millimeter divers really crush for me these days. Let's move up a little bit to the 40.5 millimeter Seiko SPB, only a ½ millimeter smaller than the Aquitane, but I think that, well, I don't know. They really present rather similar to me, and I think they offer rather similar wearing experiences. However, the Aquitane does wear thinner thanks to that light catcher case. Moving up just a little bit more, 42.5 millimeters at the Seiko SKX. Great benchmark. Everyone knows the SKX. You can see the SKX does wear a little larger than the Aquitane. Maybe not on the top-down view, but once you take a look at that side profile, you'll see that it's going to show all of its 42.5 millimeters. All right, lastly, let's take a look at that X1 C1 Lume.
Keep the Lume.
And there you go. I think this is new Lume for them from the C60s. I'm not sure if they use the same on those or not. You can see it has a little bit of a blue glow to it. The bezel not quite as bright as the dials. You can see it's showing up like a darker shade of blue by the camera. But really nice, thick Lume application on the dial and hands. So there you go, the Christopher Ward Aquitane. You know, I'd love to see this watch in 39, but it's a great wearing watch even at 41 thanks to the light catcher case. But for me, the bracelet is the real star of the show here. You know, I've held off on a 40mm C60 because the bracelet only has 2mm taper and 18mm clasp is just too much for that watch. Well, this one fixes that, and I kind of want one. So go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. Before I let you go, sneaker check. You know, neutral tones are in this year, and these might just be the perfect summer high tops. All right, that's it. I'm out. If it's not too much trouble, please like, subscribe, and come back next time. Peace.